Brother Dean, assalamu alaikum.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
You have a very interesting background.
Yes. Maybe,
Now,
yeah.
although your father is Moroccan,
Yeah.
you grew up to be a Christian,
Yes, true.
and then you converted to Islam.
Yes, true.
What's the story?
Well, as you said, I was not living with my father at that point because he lives in England, and I was born in England but raised in Denmark after my parents got divorced back in the 1978. So I was baptized, and I confirmed the Christian belief when I was in the teenagers.
Your
Sorry.
mother was Danish?
Yeah, she's Danish, yes.
Ah,
She's Danish.
That's why she brought you here.
Yeah. So when after their divorce, she moved back to Denmark with me.
Mm.
So yeah, so I was raised as a Christian and have always been like very alert about the creation of the heavens and earth and all the creations on the earth also.
So you were really observant.
Yes,
Christian.
yes. I can't remember myself not one day not praying to God. You know, maybe I didn't. Of course, I didn't have at that time as a child and as a teenager. I didn't have the right definition of God, but I was praying. Yeah.
The way you were taught.
The way I was taught, and the way I believe, maybe it was some self.
Was your mother religious?
She was in that way, in that sense, that very general Christian Danish. Yeah. So she prayed. She prayed, you know, a night prayer, and we went to church in the Christmas time, weddings, baptizing, confirmations, and this and that. Yeah.
So when did you start your journey to Islam? How did it happen?
I remember actually very clearly. I was 25. Yes. At that time, I had a daughter. I was divorced at that time, but I had a small daughter, 3-4 years old. And when I was 25, I was reflecting upon my life. Did I reach the goals that I thought when I was a teenager? I thought when I was 25, I will have this, and that, and my life will be like this. So some of them I could, you know, wink off and say, yeah, that I reached that. But some of them definitely I didn't reach. And one of them was actually how is my relationship with God? Because especially in the teenager years, I was like on off. You know, I was a believer when things were going very, very wrong. You know,
when you needed God.
When I needed God, I knew who to address my help. And when things were going very good, you know, and I needed to appreciate something and say thank you, I also knew who to address my thanks. But otherwise, in the daily life, you know, God was maybe like a secondary or less thing to be concerned about. So when I was 25, as I said, definitely there was something there missing. And I had this, my first daughter, and she was 4 years old. I picked her, I remember that.
Oh, you were married at a very young age.
Yes, very young, 22. Well, very young European terms. And I was also divorced because I was very immature at that time. But I tried to do my best, get married, buy a house, and this and that. So, but I was very immature, and it ended with a divorce. And I was a weekend father and more. So I picked my daughter up one day at the kindergarten, and I remember very clearly that she was one of the last children get picked up. It was around 5 o'clock afternoon. And she was with the other children who was different age, 1, 3, 5, 6, you know, like this. And they were drawing different drawings with animals, houses, nature, and this and that. And I picked her up, and we went in the car, and we were driving through the harbor, very near to the harbor. I was living in another city than Copenhagen at that time. And very slowly, towards the window of the car, a very big seagull with like, it has a wingspan and 1.5, maybe 2 meters, came very gentle past her. And she said, Dad, where does this bird come from? And I said, well, you know, comes from its nest home, and maybe it has some small seagull babies, and now it's on its way to get some food, and it will, you know, go home again. And she was very patient with me. She just listened to me, yeah. And when I was finished, she just looked at me and she said, Dad, where does it come from? You know?
She didn't like your answer.
No. She wasn't satisfied, because at that point I knew that she was actually asking the very natural question, who made this bird? Because she has been drawing cartoon drawings of animals, and they are good. They may be better than the 1 year old when I was picking her up. But definitely she could see on the one who was 6 years old, he could draw a better drawing, you know, of animals and this and that. But now this bird comes. So who has made this one? You know, this is impressive. So the little mind of
they were making things, but this was a completely different make.
This was a completely different level of making, yeah. So she wanted to know the creator behind it, you know.
Very clever girl.
Very clever, yeah, very clever. And that actually put me in the warm spot of the chair, you know. And I said to her, yeah, you know, well, and then it came out of my mouth, God. And when I said that, she was like all over me. Who is this? Who is God? You know. And my explanation of God was not worth mentioning here, because I didn't really know any clear definition. But it definitely trigged something in me and said, listen, Dean, you don't only have responsibility over myself now, but also a small girl who's actually old enough to ask these questions, and she requires answers. So that put me on a very, research, where I promised myself to be open, criticize with an open mind, but also I promised myself to, if I found out some information which will go against my former belief, I would change it. So I started actually researching many of the religions, of the head religions, Hindu, Buddhism, Christianity in the different categories, Catholicism, Protestant, Jehovah's Witness, Scientology, you know, Judaism. So it took me around 3-4 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Maybe I was a little slow, but I had different maps, you know.
That girl really provoked you.
Yeah, she did. That was a trigger point. So I had a maps where I wrote down my questions, and every time I got some answers, I wrote down the answers, and, you know, evaluated and prayed at the same time, you know. So, at one point I have studied, as I could study, all of the religions except Islam.
It didn't occur to you?
I was, what do you say? I'm not very happy to say, but this was the fact at that time. I was a big opponent against Islam.
But did you by that time know that your father was a Muslim?
He didn't really, you know, like, he sometimes, when I visit him occasionally, maybe once a year, once every 2 years, he would tell something, but, you know, I was deaf, dumb and blind maybe at that time. And maybe it will only like provoke me even to hate Islam even more than what I did in the beginning, you know. So that was the reality. Yeah. And I was voting for the very right extremist parties when I voted. But at one point in my research, I had to be honest with myself. And when I asked myself the question, well, Dean, have you studied Islam? It's a religion. Have you studied it? Have you given it a chance?
Well, if you want to be honest, you had to at least give it a chance, like the other religions.
Like the other religions, yes, exactly. So, so I started studying it, reading about it, looking at different debates, conference, making phone calls. And to make a long story maybe a little short, I was blown away by what I found out.
Subhanallah.
Yeah, because I found out that actually these people, as Muslims, who are in the religion of Islam, they actually practice the belief that I should have been practiced as a Christian. So that was like, how do they know this? And why are they doing it? In that kind of level and with that kind of passion that I see as me and many of other Christians, we don't even consider doing. Definitely there was a long gap between practicing Christians who I could see, okay, yeah, they are following the guidelines of the Bible. So of course it started my curiosity about who are these people, what is their belief about, and their religion. So a couple of many incidents. It's a mix, maybe a cocktail, a mix between incidents, answer of questions, questions which were answered, my prayers that were, make it clear, some dreams and experience, yeah.
I think also your sincere quest. You really wanted to find out.
Yeah, I really there was no doubt, yeah. I really wanted, that was my aim. That was my aim from the beginning.
Now, searching for the truth by exploring the various religions, what stood out for you in the case of Islam?
There were several things, but the three maybe major things was that there was at one point in my research that I was in doubt that the name Allah was the name of the same God that I was actually worshipping as a Christian. So for me, it was in a long period, it was something strange, that they must be worshipping another God, because Allah had never heard this name before. So when I was like researching that and clarified about that Allah actually means the God, the one God, it gave me confidence, yeah, that maybe it's not as strange anymore. The second thing was also that, of course, that I believed in all the prophets and messengers, Jesus alayhi salam, and Moses and Abraham and David and all of them, but the Muslims, they claimed that another prophet and messenger, Muhammad, with the name Muhammad, which was maybe at that point I just hated anything with Islam. So for me it was like, this is a big claim. So how do I know that he is actually
a true prophet?
A true prophet, and I researched the level of his manners, his truthfulness, his way of dealing with people, his way of being a leader, and that was all the characteristics there. They stood out from any normal human, and actually was aligned with Jesus and Moses. So it made me also confident in that question. And a third one, very important, I remember, was that, this is a big claim coming to say that this book is from God, the Quran. And I can't read Arabic, so of course you can say what you want, but how do I know, So when I started to research there and was open about, finding out, I wanted proof, I wanted evidence, before I could accept it, of course. So scientifically, rationally, my gut feelings, my heart, you know. So yeah, so when I had this confirmed also, you know, there was like no turning back. No turning back, yeah.
The God, the Prophet, and the book.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
How long did that process take?
5 years, from 25 to the end of 29. I was 29.
Wow.
I converted the 18th of April, 2003.
You decided that's it?
That's it. I was not in any doubt at that time. I had all my essential questions answered, not just one time, but maybe 100 times.
Did you go back to your daughter to tell her?
Yeah, well, yes, I did. I did, of course, because
she's being grown by now.
She's grown by now. She's 26. Yeah, mashallah, she's 26 years old. And she knows the story very well. She knows that she actually is a part of what triggered the research. Yeah, definitely.
Now, when that conversion happened, what was the response of people who were close to you? I mean, your mother was still around?
She's still around.
So you have your mother on one side, your father still in London on the other.
Yeah.
When they learned of your conversion, what was the response?
Well, my mother, she burst into tears, and it was not because she was happy. It wasn't happy tears. But she was prepared in some kind of way for it, because I had already, maybe 1 year before this, I put out the question, Mom, what would you say if I became a Muslim, actually?
Oh.
Yeah. So she knew that I was like researching in a proper, serious way. But she, as myself, was filled with misinformations about what Islam is. So I don't blame her, and the reaction from the rest of the family, my Danish family, was not very welcoming, but I definitely take 99% of the blame for it, because I was not very, I didn't approach them in a very, mild, tolerant way. I just, at a dinner table at Christmas time, actually, I just said, I became a Muslim, and this is the last time I'm having dinner with you in Christmas time.
This was like a slap on the face.
And I'm very ashamed about it, because of course Allah has been tolerant with me and patient with me for many, many years with this question.
SubhanAllah.
So now it was my turn to be tolerant with my family. But I wasn't. I didn't know better at that time, maybe, So, definitely.
They took it as an insult, maybe.
Yeah, well, it was a very silent afterwards. So I have done a lot of work to repair this relationship.
Is it better now?
Yeah, definitely. 100% better, alhamdulillah. But it had taken time. Many coffee meetings, a lot of, yeah.
Your father?
And my father, he was...
is he at all excited?
He was just like he always is. He said, I knew it will come one day. So, yeah.
As if he took it for granted.
That's typical him, yeah.
Now, how about the change of lifestyle? Did you have a lifestyle that was difficult to change? Or was that easy? Yeah,
no. I definitely, I will actually take it back before the research started, when I was before 25. Definitely, I had a lifestyle which was not very healthy and was not very beneficial for me or other people around me. But when I started the research, I started to become more and more, focused on living a good lifestyle. And in the end of the research, I knew I was going to be either a Jew, Christian, or Muslim. And no matter what religion I would choose, there was like a similarity in behavior, things that you should stay away from, and things which you could do. So I couldn't find any excuses. I knew that I was going to be one of these three because that was the monotheism religion from the original.
Yes.
Yeah. So I knew that's
the common root.
That's the common root. Exactly. Yeah. So there were also some common guidelines.
Yeah.
So I gradually started to change this. So actually, when the day came, I was a Muslim. It wasn't so difficult with the practical things. More or less I had them. I had also already started to learn to pray, and I prayed maybe 3 or 4 times at that time. So yeah, it was actually okay. Yeah.
Because you had been prepared for it.
Yeah, I've been prepared.
Now I can tell from your involvement in the center here in the Waqf in Copenhagen that you are really well embraced, well involved.
Yes.
So probably in terms of the stance of the Muslim community, I suppose it was all welcoming.
100%. I've never experienced anything other than warm welcoming from every aspect of the persons who are established Muslims, who were born Muslim. Of course, we all born Muslims, but who was raised and giving Islam as a religion from birth. They have the biggest and utmost respect for not just me, but in new Muslims in general.
Now you're involved with caring for new Muslims.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
How do you see the trend? Is it on the rise? More people are coming to Islam?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. That's the short answer. Yeah. I've been involved since 2010. And we can definitely see that there is a growing interest for Islam as a religion and what Islam has to offer, not only in another Muslim country, but also in the West. And what it offers is many are interested in.
Now, I'm interviewing some of the sisters that I met while visiting Denmark, to some extent even Sweden.
Yeah.
They talk about the racist attitudes with which sometimes they are faced.
Yes.
My understanding is that this is a reflection of how alien Islam is still perceived to these societies, or is the picture changing?
It's still there. Definitely, it's still there. Yeah, and especially for maybe the sisters, because they are like, if they have wearing hijab, it's very visible.
They become distinct.
Yeah, they could become distinct, and it's very visible which religion they have chosen, and they experience definitely some more comments from the people living in Denmark than maybe the converts who are men, because like in Denmark now, it's very trendy to have the Viking beard. So many of the men have beards, So it's not as distinguished and visible.
No, a beard is no longer a sign of Islam.
No, it's not.
Everybody has a beard.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember when I left my family and went to study in the UK, my family was living in Kuwait at the time. Yes. And my father said, you have to shave your beard, otherwise I won't give you the ticket.
Okay.
Because in the Arab countries, if you had a beard, that meant you must be a member of some Islamic group. And my father was a bit frightened for me.
Yeah.
So I shaved my beard in order to take the ticket.
Yeah.
And that was the only time I shaved my beard ever. when I arrived in London, I saw everybody was having a beard. So I wrote back to my family.
When was that?
That was in 1974.
Yeah. In the 70s, people had beard. Yeah.
Hippies and things.
Hippies. Yeah, exactly.
Now, let's go back to the situation of the Muslims in this country.
Yeah.
Really, in Europe as a whole. It seems to me there is still something lacking when it comes to what we call converts or reverts or new Muslims. They don't seem yet to be in the public eye in terms of influence, in terms of seeking to influence public opinion. Is it because they are few in numbers, or is it because they are not taking the initiative? I mean, for instance, can't they contribute to changing the image about themselves and about Islam in their wider societies?
Yeah. Well, and that's just my personal opinion. I don't know about the statistics, and maybe there are someone else have done a bigger research on this. But well, maybe it's like many reverts. In the beginning, they very discreet with their choice. It can be because of different circumstances, maybe the family, the work. They need time to like absorb what they have chosen.
It's a major shift.
It's a major shift. It can be, and they want to balance before. And I think actually it's a good approach to, in some kind of way, to dive in the depth of Islam, in some kind of degree before they go out maybe and do something public, It can be a benefit. There are also some who are very strong in their different fields, politicals or whatever, and they should definitely go out and make a statement and not be shy. If they feel that they have the personality and the character to lift it, in order to normalize more that, changing from one religion to another, it's an everyday thing for many people. Islam has come to Denmark not for a certain period, but it comes to stay as a part of a religion in Denmark as Christianity and Judaism, Hindu and Buddhism, So, let's not alien the persons who shift to Islam, But I think more and more, just to put the answer to your question, I think now, because the trend is that more and more are accepting Islam, it's more normal that you meet a family, that you speak with some friends at the work or something, who has a member of the family, a cousin or aunt or uncle or a brother or sister who has converted to Islam. It's not alien anymore.
So it's becoming more common.
It's becoming more common, definitely.
Well, Brother Dean, it's really a great pleasure meeting you and talking to you.
Really.
And I'm grateful for the effort you made in helping us reach to some brothers and sisters.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Anytime, really, anytime you want, I'm here.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.